from the 1st of the 2nd month of 1444, the backs, the box, and filler cards from the uninhabited and mysterious regions. Growth, perception, and interpretation awaken our senses in every season. Time, place, and things leave us to take our oaths regarding the subjective and objective beyond reason. So, make your show as you're trumpeting the message you still trust for what's at hand. And what are your initial thoughts here?
Well, I thought that constant discovery is made manifest through constant continual works. The more works that are done, the more that can be discovered.
Now, one of the things that you don't necessarily notice right away is the mirrored effect of these. She's like making the oath. Now, typically the oath is you rise with the right hand in a square and over your chest with the angle right. So you got the compass and the square. And so you got both ways. Oh, and one is literally in mirror writing. So it's not the right direction. But automatically you sort of tend to read things that are backwards as if they're backwards.
Looking through the glass.
Now, one of the things that we encounter, if we move on to the extra card portion, is that the first card after every equinox and every solstice are at that moment is the 2s. So we have the 2 of Cups at the vernal equinox. We have the 2 of Wands at the summer solstice. We have the 2 of Swords at the winter solstice. And we have the 2 of Discs at the fall equinox. So typically when that 2 of Discs typically shows up as a somebody juggling. But it's not per se a juggle, it's an order of duality. But of course, the idea of a juggler means that he's supposed to be able to operate both sides. And so next in sequence, and here's the extra card from this tiny tarot thing. We have a guy releasing a bird.
A bird.
Maybe you could have that as the Ra card, and have like the secret spirit of it all. So moving up, we would have the 2 of Swords.
Swords is peace.
And so
peace. Swords.
Some will say it's peace. It's not, it's nature, but peace because you're both armed and all that stuff. And if that's where you have to start, I think that's where one should start.
Right.
Of course, it's operated within oneself. Because certainly deterrence is a thing. And okay, here's another thing. So rather out into the spirit, I guess it's into the depths. So this, we got an ascent and a descent sort of card. Not to morally judge one or the other in that way, like some people are going to do. Oh, I have my, you know, he's a juggler, but he's got a strip to prevent him from messing up juggling, which is cheating. Of course, it does still take some skill to keep it in its thing, but okay, so the Two of Cups, it's all on the same level. You got this shoulder right here. So the knowledge sphere.
I like this.
Fish and stuff gives it a playful sort of thing.
And their little tails. I like their little tails on there. I saw the weather a weather radar, and you know, I looked at it. I zoomed it out to where it showed the whole United States. You know, and this was for yesterday, and it appeared to look like the shape of a fish, and I thought it was kind of cute.
And I'm not sure which order I did, but the wands,
the shapes.
The Two of Wands is given this dominion sort of idea, right?
Yeah, dominion.
But the Two of Wands, more than anything else, appears more ceremonial and magical. Like it's moving something not quite physical, but some of the cards.
I know it's festive, but I always see you know, a bit more darker. I guess you could call it darker meaning, you know, to things.
What do you call those? Dorges? Dorge? Yeah, so it's a pair of Dorges.
What is that exactly? It looks like a weapon.
It's like a magical weapon. It's like one of those things, like if you see one of the bells, there's one of them at the end. Sometimes it's like a bell slash whatever, but sometimes you have to think about itself. Yeah. Ideally, you want a separate bell and a thing. And you're sitting there, ding, 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 ding. You're doing your chode ceremony, which sounds like off, but it's, I forget what it even means at the moment. But like it's a spiritual thing. So you ding, 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 and get yourself into the trance by sitting there, dinging the bell, and you're holding the magical weapon, and you're chanting the chant, and there are different ways to do it, but yeah, basically you work yourself into it. In a way, it can be it is, if it's not entirely necromancy, some of them can be considered necromancy. But of course, it's not, you know, not always like the movie where you're digging up, where you have to dig. You don't have to dig up corpses in necromancy. You don't have to dismember things. All this is not necessary in necromancy.
Right.
And honestly, that's exactly how you get caught. And what's the point of doing this just to get caught? Because you don't have the power to connect to and the themes and energies and stuff like this. Otherwise,
it's kind of misleading to hear that, oh, you can do this, you can do that, and you won't get caught because you'll be protected. No.
Well, like you're where like the one video I talked about this one guy's book. I talked about this one guy's book, and in this guy's book, he basically said like, oh, whatever perverted and criminal thing the spirits ask you to do, you can do it. And well, I mean, I forget the exact words, but that was the implication. The implication was that anything perverted or criminal, they'll help you do it, and they'll help you get away with it. And
unfortunately,
of course, he did say later that he came to the realization that, you know, the spirit of some of these spirits finally admitted to him Now he fakes things a lot, so who knows what he's actually telling the truth on, but he did say stuff later about how you know, the spirits would tell him, hey, if you want to do this for you, go ahead, but I don't require you to do it for me. And you can dedicate to me if you want, but it's like, but he sort of got into, you know, they were legally pursuing him. Not really that. I think that he just barely stayed on the side of incitement, because the idea that incitement is only incitement if it actually motivates a serious crime. No, that's not the thing. You can't do incitement,
right.
regardless of, now you can be charged related to something that happened, but you know. But the idea of staying barely on the thing, it's important. You're now I'm going to switch over shortly, but this is going to fade off. But your influences matter. You know what you say to others, encouragement or discouragement. If you can't be part of what's best, you just be quiet. Everybody around you, some horrible warmonger or whatever the deal is. It's not even purposeful war. It's just companies want to get bigger, or some idiots have convinced themselves that if we don't kill off all of humanity, or most of it, global warming will be out of control. It's like the solar cycle is more in control over that than humanity is. But
there's so many.
I mean, there is pollution, there is, you know, whatever, but now it's